Joe Phantomaniacs, it is time to wrap this week up with Storm Shadow, the Cobra Ninja. I've already talked about the packaging of this newest wave and how it's a little simplified versus the older waves, and it's fine by me. We've got the slipcover packaging with no mailer box, also totally fine. Let's reduce costs in places where it doesn't matter. And let's take a look at Storm Shadow. I saved this one for last. So far this week, we have had a miss and two big hits. Doc had some production issues. I'm going to be trying to send him back to Big Bad Toy Store for a replacement. The Cobra Trooper and Scarlet were both awesome. Very happy with those. And also need to report that painted skin is the norm for this series now. I forgot to mention it on the Trooper and Doc, although if you watched the video, you can tell. Explosion in the background, put it off to the side because we've got a ninja to look at. I am so hyped for this figure, fortunately, because as I said, you know, Doc, I started off this week with Doc, and he was disappointing, or at least the one that I received was disappointing. Hopefully I'll be able to do some follow-up with a newer version, and we'll have something that makes me a little happier than that one did. But to start the week off with a wave I was so excited about, and a character, I mean, Doc is one of my favorites. So to start the week off with that kind of disappointment, I wasn't feeling good. But after, okay, so here's how I recommend you pull these arrows out. Just carefully pull right from the middle. They're rigid, so they're not going to get bent. They'll pop right back. Man, those arrows are gorgeous. So there we go. Accessories, move them off to the side. But to start with one of my favorite Joe characters, and then he's a disappointment, was a bummer, a big bummer, because I've been so excited. I mean, obviously, if you collect Super 7, you know how long you wait for them. You know how long you're, excited for the next wave. Can't wait to see what it's going to look like, how they're going to, we see the early renders and whatever, and the final model is not always the same. So it's an adventure-loving Super 7, because you don't ever quite know for sure what you're going to get until you open the box and pull that figure out. You do know you're going to get tape directly on the accessories, which infuriates me. I absolutely hate it. Super 7, please stop doing that. I still have to clean off... Whoops. I still have to clean off Scarlet's quiver from the sticky residue that the frickin' tape you guys used left on it. It's disgusting. These are some petite, dangerous throwing stars. They're so sharp, which I wouldn't have it any other way. That's exactly how I want these done. And hopefully that tape looks like the chain on the nunchucks, which, by the way, oh look, it's nunchucks with a chain. Wow, that's a long chain. That's a little too much chain. There's enough chain here to fix the classified nunchucks. Maybe not that much chain, but it was a funny thing to say. All right. Oh, man, that's great. So you guys, when this figure was first announced, I had a better idea of exactly what all the accessories are. Now, I still know. It's really the alternate portrait that I'm most not positive about, but I'm pretty sure I know. Very concerned about this situation and how this is attached to the figure. I don't want to rip that off, so I'm trying to be careful here. He's gloriously, or his costume is gloriously white. There we go. So that, I'm not going to lie, that's a little scary. We'll look at that more closely in a minute. Oh, Almost lost that other throwing star. Put that over here, and we'll take a look at Storm Shadow. Sword brother to Snake Eyes. Enemy of spirit. Because in the cartoon, it's a little difficult to have a guy that doesn't talk involved in significant plot points all of the time. So they ended up going with Spirit as more Storm Shadow's nemesis, which is fine with me, although it means we need an ultimate Spirit sooner than later. Man, he looks great, great, great. Just take it in. Take in the pure white of his gear. That torso is a little... Okay, so here is the problem. This is definitely flippy floppy. This is solid plastic. This is very, very soft plastic, and they are bonded right here on his back. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? Because this, the quiver is on top of the scabbard. I'm not going to lie, I'm terrified of this construction right here. Do not hold this figure by this setup. Maybe it's more stable than I think it is, but my gosh, just be careful when you're handling this. And if you can see, some of the give is that it's not attached to his body. But this makes me nervous. But it looks really, really thick, but looks like it should look. Because look, in 3D, I just said look 50 times in a row. In 3D, you cannot achieve the same proportions that you can achieve in 2D. So in the cartoon, when Storm Shadow turns to the side, this whole thing is miraculously like that thick. You know, it just doesn't, they don't have to worry about how this actually works in real life. I'll say this right now, there is absolutely no way in heck I am ever going to attempt to swap those heads out, because I don't know how you're ever going to get a grip on this figure solid enough to remove this head without touching this terrifying situation. Like, I guess, okay. Now I've got to try it because I'm a dum-dum and I feel like I've got to test these things. So you would grip like this, and up here, stay away from this vicinity. And so you'd have to heat it. But I have zero interest in displaying the other portrait, so I'm not swapping them out. If you buy this figure and you really wanted to use the other portrait, then heat it. I'd go for a minute. Heat this up, hold it. As I wouldn't do this because you'll have less control. I would do this and that and just stay away from that. But like I said, I'm not swapping that out. But we may as well take a look at the other portrait now. Let's do our zoom in. I said do our zoom in. Thank you. The other portrait is the rebreather mask that I believe he wears when he goes to recover Excalibur from the bottom of the lake. It looks awesome. It's great. I like the clear plastic. It's very, very cool. I have zero reason to ever use this portrait on this figure ever. Toy photography, I'm sure it's great, but for me, the risk of potentially ripping this apparatus off of his back is nowhere near worth my curiosity over what that portrait looks like on the figure. So now that we're zoomed in, look at the intensity in those eyes. Fantastic. Cobra logo, nice and big and red and cleanly printed. Got the silver painted on the buckle with the eyelets down here. It's got the throwing stars tucked into his belt. His waist was giving me a little trouble as far as moving it. Just needs to be loosened up a little bit. Might want to heat that too, because I don't want to rip this guy apart. His sleeves have the great cut right here, rather than being the short sleeves of the figure or the torn, ragged sleeves, which I absolutely can't stand on the classified figure. Got the nice, clean V shape going on here with his gi. It's wonderful. The wrappings, all sculpted, all cleanly painted. Look awesome. Same thing with the feet. Got a cut right at the top of the wrappings there. Standard modern ankles. We all know how the Super 7 articulation works at this point. Everything looks great. His whites are whiter than white. Absolutely fantastic. I don't think this figure could look any better. Accessory-wise, we have got... Now, this is obviously not from Sunbow. This is a nod to Silent Interlude, which Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, was named for. But you can see the Arashikage tattoo exposed under the wrappings. I might display with this one. Oh, gosh, that's going to be difficult to swap out, too. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have to heat that up. I don't know. I don't know if I want to bother swapping those. This, I'm telling you guys, this is just scary. It seems solid. Look at this. It doesn't feel like it's about to rip off, but it's just scaring me. All right. So, cool alternate forearm setup, and hands should be just as swappable with this forearm. So much heating I've had to do. Part of it is it's freezing down here. We're back to being cold again in Georgia. But anyway, multiple swappable hands. You've got a couple of martial arts hands, kung fu hands, karate hands, whatever you want to call them. You've got a throwing star gripping hand. Let's test that one out in a second here. You've got maybe a nunchuck hand. We'll test that one out too. Lots of different interesting gestures compared to what we're used to seeing. This is a sort of fighting karate hand. And then a standard C grip. So obviously we know what those are. Put those off to the side. We'll keep these over here and check out their interaction with the accessories we're about to look at. Oh, for drawing the bow. Beautiful. Okay. We have got a sniper blaster. Pardon me. I'm sorry. It's what we got to do here. A sniper blaster, which is from the comics. This is what... No, wait. No, it's not. So I'm getting things mixed up now. I'm trying to remember where he used this. I was thinking it was from the comics. But I don't think he ever went anywhere near Snake Eyes' cabin. So that's not what I'm thinking of. So there you go. Tell me in the comments, what is this from? I'm going to guess it actually is Sunbow. But it also seems weird that they'd have a sniper in Sunbow. But anyway, tell me, what exactly is this piece from? And I guess this hand is sculpted to interact, look at that, with this rifle. Now, whether or not he can actually assume any kind of sniper pose, I'm a little dubious of, but still a great looking piece. We already took a look at the nunchucks with the really long chain. That just seems like an error. But I would rather have a chain that is 3 times as long as it should be than have one solid piece of plastic. And then those will work with the C-grip. It's a little odd that he's only got the one C-grip, but at the same time, you could kind of do something like this. If you want to, that's fine. That's fine with me. Let's see, where was the throwing star hand? Let's see how well that works with our throwing stars. And the answer is very, Look at that. Perfect. That is solidly in there. Excellent. And then, oh, I guess this one is also going to work with the bow. So that's bow and arrow hands. This is, it's like a gesturing. I mean, it's not really sword hands. But they have to be, because otherwise he doesn't come with sword hands. He's got a C grip. So I guess that's his sword hands. A little weird. All right. Oh, and finally, well, not finally, but before we move on to the last thing, Excalibur. With, I believe, a glow-in-the-dark blade. We'll put that to the test in a few minutes here, after it's been sitting out under the light for a little while. All right, now I've got to do what I kind of didn't want to do, but we have to. Oh, I gotta heat this guy up, don't I? I'm so sick of heating stuff this week. This has been a terrible week for heating things. Okay, got his hands heated up. Hopefully this is all going to work nicely and not be a tremendous pain. I'm trying to think of exactly what we're going to look like here, like our best position for shooting the bow. Oh man, I should have heated this up too, because now I've got to get his C grip, which I don't think I've got plugged in all the way. If you notice, these Super 7 hands have two ridges. Sometimes it's a little difficult to get that second ridge plugged all the way in. That hand opened up. There we go. Hopefully that bowstring is going to be really flexible. So I'm going to have to pose. Anytime I'm posing a figure, I try and put that joint facing down so it doesn't look, like that. But that's not going to be an option here, because he's just not going to get the right angle. But look at that. And look, I'm not aiming for perfection here. I just want to get a good approximation of him shooting this bow. It may take, a little more posing and playing around with than I really have time for right now. But, oh wait, shouldn't the other one be like that? Maybe this hand, no, because he's not going to hold the bow right with an angle like that. So yeah, I guess that's just what we've got. And then we can put the arrow, squeeze it in between those two fingers. Oh man, come on. There we go. Oh, there's even a little notch there. So yeah, it's going to take some playing around with, but you can absolutely you can do better than this. I can tell you right now. But, right, it doesn't look super impressive. But it all works. It's not just one, weird piece. It actually has the elastic string. Everything works. And this will probably... Oh, look, there's even a little notch there. This is functional. This is dangerous. That's why we're paying $55 for these figures, ladies and gentlemen. Is because Super 7 knows we want to be able to shoot your eye out. Look at this. Look at this. I don't know where that arrow went. I'm going to have to hunt it down, but it was worth it because that was hilarious. So there you go. That's, oh, we got to test Excalibur out. All right. I think the lights have been on long enough. All right, I've turned off everything except for my focus light. And good news, I recovered that arrow. So here is Excalibur. Looking great. Looking like it probably glows in the dark. Let's cut these lights and find out. Oh, it's beautiful. That is some fine glow-in-the-dark action. And I'll tell you right now, this is going on the shelf. Wonderful. Wonderfully done. All right, let me turn my overhead back on, and we'll wrap this thing up. So, let's get him geared up with all his swords. Oh, I didn't even look at his swords. I tried him out in his hands, but I didn't show him to you guys. So he's got 2 matching katana, a tanto, I believe, is that knife. Look great. Painted blades. Excellent. Goes in. Oh my gosh, I can't get it in there. I'm not going to lie. Oh, wait a minute. Are these different lengths? Oh, they are. One is slightly shorter than the other one. As they should be. This is terrifying, guys. Terrifying. So the swords go right in there. The arrows go right in there. I really wish... I wish this was removable. Because I wouldn't mind having a look that was just this belt. And it almost seems weird to me. Oh, maybe you can't get 3 in there. Maybe you've got to angle them a certain way. I really would like to have a look that was just a cleaner profile. You know? There we go. Well, I guess anything's removable if you believe in yourself, but it's not going to go back on, I suppose. So there he is, Storm Shadow, excellently executed. The backpack situation makes me nervous. Other than that, this is a gorgeous figure, exactly what I wanted from Super 7's Ultimate, and I'm very, very happy with it. Looks awesome. I'm going to put it on the shelf with that Excalibur and call it a day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about needless things, and until next time, Cobra.
Smash that like button if you like needless things.